Hi, this is your girl Lisa Hill coming from the Westin Hotel in Atlanta, Georgia, and I'm so excited to be launching my YouTube channel. Coming up will be some videos of other NFL moms here that I've interviewed at the conference, just bringing you guys awareness and letting you know what we are doing and how we're making powerful contributions in our communities. I'm so excited. I want everyone to please like, subscribe, share, and comment. Please comment. I will be responding to all of my comments. Like, share, subscribe, and please, please, please comment. Thank you so much. And this morning I had the wonderful opportunity to meet this great lady, and I'm going to introduce her to you guys. Tell us your name.
My name is Sherry Hill.
And what's really wonderful about Miss Sherry Hill is that we share the same last name. She is the mother of NFL player Marquise Hill. He's actually the late Marquise Hill, and he also played for LSU. He also played for the New England Patriots. They actually won a Super Bowl. And I'm going to let Miss Hill tell you the wonderful story of why she wrote this book. Her book is entitled The Marquise Hill Story, From the Cradle to the Bowl. And so I'm just going to give you the mic and let you tell us about the book.
My son and I had discussed doing a story on his life. I would say a couple of years before Katrina, at the time he was at LSU, and we had came to that conclusion that we was going to write a story, and he wanted to write the story really. And just so ironic, on 3 days before his drowning, his accidental drowning in Lake Pontchartrain, I actually started writing the book. I started that Wednesday, and we was in the middle of recuperating or trying to revamp from Katrina, and I had all the chapters written out and the title of the book written out at the time of his accident. So that's how I came about doing the book, because I just actually started writing it, and I finished it in 2008.
So from the time that you began to write the book to the time that you actually finished the book, how long did it take you to complete the book?
Approximately about a year. I started at the right after his funeral, because I had the chapters written out, just the title of the chapters and the title of the book written out. I just was just destined to just finish it no matter what. I was working at the time, trying to go back to work, and I just wouldn't let anything stop me until I finished. I started it right after the funeral, so it took me about the next year. I would say about a year and a half, maybe.
Wow. So in the midst of grieving, in the midst of missing your son, you felt compelled to continue to write the book. Do you believe that maybe Marquise was somewhere just pressing and pushing you forward to write the book?
I feel that way, yes. I just felt like it was just mandated that I finished it, because I started writing it and I just had to finish it. My passion is a children's book, but because I had started writing his story, I just had to finish that first. But that was always been my desire, to do a children's book. I had no plans of doing his book. I was just going to work along with him to do his book, but I hadn't planned to do it. But because of the circumstances, I finished it, yes.
Wow. Well, I want to let you guys know that this morning at breakfast, when I met Miss Sherry, we sat across the table from each other, and as all of the moms who are here at this conference, for those of you who don't know what PFPMA is the Professional Football Players Mothers Association. And we actually are a support system and organization that supports our sons. But our mission is to serve, support, educate, and also strengthen our communities through charitable giving. And Miss Sherry Hill, like many of the moms here, have made so many contributions. And this book, actually, like for the lunch break today, I went into my hotel room and I started reading the book, and it was riveting. I I was actually in tears. So I just want to applaud you for writing such a compelling and a book that just really brought me to tears. And even this morning at breakfast, when I read the poem in the back of the book, me and several of the other ladies were just weeping at the table because my son Jeremy, who also played for LSU and who also now plays for the New England Patriots, had so many similar occurrences, should I say, that occurred in their journeys of being recruited and then going to LSU and also being in the NFL. Tell us, let's kind of digress a little bit. Tell us a little bit about Marquise as a child and who he was.
Well, Marquise always had a desire to play, but because he was such a rapid growing child, I mean, we talk about 8 months, he was the size of a 2-year-old. In the first grade, he was the size of a 4th grader. So I've always had to catch up with his age, with the size. And he was a passionate child. I mean, at the time when I was raising my son, believe it or not, that's when murder rates was at an all-time high. We had more murders in New Orleans than the days of the year.
Wow.
So we talking about 450 murders. I actually took my son to a murder scene because he knew the man that was murdered. Because I didn't want him to fall into that trap. I think he was about 8 years old when I took him to the scene. I think that's what kept him pretty much really on the right track, because he always used to tell me, "Ma, you know that murder scene you took me to? I remember it like it was yesterday. I can remember the clothes that person was wearing." Wow. So, I mean, but he was passionate, and my mom and I instilled in him and my family that always respect your elders. And because they've been here, they've been where you have to go. So he took that at his word, and he kept it in his heart, and he followed that. He believed in doing the right thing, and as in the book, I tell a lot of little stories that he followed because that just was his heart. And even during the time of my son's drowning, it was a letter that came from New England area up there where my son was playing ball, and the lady couldn't get in touch with me, and she couldn't stop crying, and she actually wrote to the TV station. Wow. And she wanted them to make sure I got the message that she feel my pain, because my son touched her son, and he touched her heart. And she just couldn't get in touch with us because my son's phone number, my son had even given her the phone number, and she couldn't get in touch because of the land base of New Orleans, and we was dealing with Katrina, right. And the system in New Orleans was still down. Because all this happened right after Katrina. I was a Katrina survivor. Wow. My brother dropped dead 2 months after Katrina. I lost friends in Katrina. Then 2 years later, here I lost my son. So, but through it all, I mean, I traded everything to get him back. And I really miss him. But I had a lot of things that went through during his life. His daddy, didn't want me to follow through with the pregnancy, and I did. So it was just a lot of hurdles that we crossed on our own, and it was just a story that needed to be told.
Wow.
And I took it.
I'm so glad that you actually took, I guess, lemons, and Sherry actually made lemonade out of her lemons, because oftentimes people don't realize that they see us as NFL moms, and they think that, we live these glamorous lives. And oftentimes we are stereotyped to people to think that maybe somehow we're plastic or we're trophy people, that we aren't touched by the issues of life. And so just sharing your story just sounds like a lot of obstacles, a lot of pain, a lot of sorrow, death, loss. I mean, these are human issues that, everyone faces. And for you to take the opportunity to write such a phenomenal book, it's just amazing. Tell me, who are you? Who is Sherry Hill? If someone was to ask, okay, we know that your son was in the NFL, and we share our sons with the world, and people don't know that. Like the letter you said that you received, when your son is in the NFL or any type of, I guess, notorious type of industry, entertainment, what have you, they no longer just belong to you. Like, you share them with the world, but at the end of the day, you are still mom. You still love them like when he was 2 years old. And so you don't care if he plays football or not. You love him because of who he is. And that's not to say that others don't love him because of that, but usually it's because of the gift that they have that people recognize that. But tell us about Sherry Hill. Who are you? I read that you were that your education was at Alabama A&M, and just tell us about who you are aside from your children and everything.
I was the oldest of 5 children. Be honest with you, it was 4 boys and I was the only girl.
Wow.
So I had these brothers that felt like instead of me being the oldest, I was the youngest, but I was the oldest, and I was the girl that, I guess what you'll say, the ordinary girl that wanted to go to school, finish high school. I made good grades in high school. All my classmates tell me I was really smart, but I didn't think so. But I graduated from high school, and I was determined to finish college, and I finished in 4 years. Now, I'm finished in the midst of a terrible divorce with my parents, and a house burned at the same time.
Wow.
So it did affect me for a long time. And when I met my son's dad, I was my life was at a low. But I finished college cum laude.
Wow.
So I graduated with honors through all that. But after I graduated, I had my son after 3 years out of college. So what you call a good girl, I desired to have a wedding, want to have all the bells and whistles, but it didn't turn that way. This route, it wasn't in my plans, and it happened. I guess I was destined for this life. I had to live. But I graduated as an art major. I draw portraits, I paint, and I taught school for 10 years. I worked at the government 16 years. At the same time, I worked with the New Orleans Police Department.
Wow.
For 5 years up to Katrina, to support my son in his endeavors. And then here come Katrina, and we lost everything in one day. So I've been through, but I always tell people I passed the test, so now I have a testimony. Absolutely. So that's what keeps me going. And I always tell parents when I have that opportunity to talk to parents and any single mom that you keep your mind stayed on the Lord. You have to keep focused, because this journey called life is not always the way it's easy. And you can't learn this in school. And I was the type that always felt like I do the right thing, good things happen, but it didn't turn that way. But, at the end, I was just wondering, I said, Lord, I didn't throw a brick in the church. What went wrong for me, But, you live and learn. But I kept pushing it, and I didn't want my son to play football. Matter of fact, he was, 6'3" or 6'4" at 12 years old. So, but the kids, when he get on team, they want to put him with the larger kids, and I didn't want that because I know interest. But that was his desire. He was recruited for football and basketball, but his love was football. And before I know it, he was this and he was that. He was flown here to Atlanta to count down the signing in Fox Sports. So he received all the accolades that you could receive as a player, but then he lost his life. But I was a mother, and I, like I say, I finished school, wanted to do more, but I had to change my recourse because of my son. So, exactly. And then now I'm just doing me now.
Right, exactly. Good for you. And I want to say that oftentimes as women, especially if you're a single mom, because I also became a single mom. I was divorced, so I then became a single mom. And sometimes as women, we allow life to define us. We allow, if we're married, like you said, you wanted the dream, the white picket fence of, basically what you implied. And so sometimes we think that, if we're not married at a certain age, or if we don't have children at a certain age, or if we don't do it in a certain sequential order, if we don't have the house with the picket fence, then somehow we failed. But, there are no guarantees in life. Life will throw you a curveball, and it's not a bed of roses. So I think that as you attributed your wherewithal, your strength to just trust in God. I think that when we decide within ourselves to just trust God and to just keep on moving, keep on trucking, that no matter what life presents to us, we make lemonade out of our lemons. We play the cards that we're dealt. We don't have a pity party, but we will cry sometimes. Sometimes life is hard. It's not easy. Even as an NFL mom, and people would look at you and say, oh, but your son won the Super Bowl and he played for the New England Patriots, and he's bought you beautiful gifts. You should just be happy. But at the end of the day, we're still moms, and we're still affected by life, and we still cry. We still have issues. We still have things that affect us, but we can't let life define us in that way. We still have to know that our value doesn't come from if our son plays in NFL. Our value doesn't come from, if we live in a certain neighborhood or all these things, but our value really comes from the God that's within us. He makes us who we are. And so I want to applaud you for first of all, for raising such a phenomenal son, for overcoming so many obstacles, because, just thinking about all of that, that's a lot of stuff. Like, a lot of people would be mental at this point. They would be, like, out of their minds, or just really not having the strength to press on. But you have allowed life to be presented, and instead of giving up, you decided to pen it all in this book. So I compel you to go out and get this book. Where can we find this book?
Well, Exhibitors has it. Amazon has it online as an ebook. And really, to be honest with you, my book is more or less a gumbo book. I call it a gumbo book from Louisiana. It have a little bit of everything in it.
Okay, and it does.
So that mean you're gonna find yourself somewhere in there somewhere. You will be crying,
so get the Kleenex.
And make sure you get a bucket of water by your bed and just cry your tears out. But you can find it there. You can contact me through my email, hill.sherry9469@gmail. Hit me up, Hill, HILL, period, Sherry, SHERRY, 9469@gmail.com. Or you can hit me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I'm on there.
Are you Sherry Hill on there? Sherry Hill,
yes.
And then tell us one last thing. You do have a movie deal in the making. Maybe I shouldn't kind of put that out there, but can you just tell us a little bit about it without telling us too much about what is the next phase of this book?
Well, we in the preparation stage. Miss Brisker, Bonita Brisker, is an actress that I am connected with. And she read the book herself, and she just compelled to know that it is a movie. It's a movie in there.
Absolutely.
And but we working, we taking baby steps, and we taking one day at a time. And matter of fact, she's working on the script on it, and I have a treatment for it. And so now we just we getting the promo thing together now, and I know God has a hand in it.
Yes.
It has to be done. It must go. The movement must be made. Because you know what? I get a lot of response from mothers. Mm-hmm. Even at church Sunday, I had one of the young youth come up to me, and he caught me and saw it was me. He said, "Oh, I just want to tell you I finished that book." Wow. And I said, "Now what you gonna do about it?" I got it. And I'm going to do it for me. Yes. And I'm going to do it for your son. Wow. But I got it.
Wow.
So that right there, that means all the world to me. Yes, if I just take one youth at a time to keep from them losing them on the streets, yes, or the police shooting them in the back of the head, or they getting 40 and 50 years in prison. And, all these different things. that mean the world to me. So I just really hope my story reach the masses, and if it could change the world, I'll be happy as anybody. I mean, if the money come, it don't really matter, but I would invest back in the community.
Yes.
Because our community is suffering.
It is.
And it's not only the blacks, it's a lot of people of color, diverse. And there's a lot of other people of other races suffering. So we just got to get it back. We got to take it with stride. I mean, it kind of touches me when I talk about it, but we got to do it. We can't delay it.
Thank you so much. And so I don't know if you guys can feel, but this is very moving. I mean, I feel your tears. And I just want to compel all of our LSU alumni, all of our Louisiana fans of Marquise Hill, or even my son Jeremy Hill, the New England Patriots, the fans of the New England Patriots who knew Marquise Hill. I just encourage you guys to go out on Amazon and all the places to get this book, because this is a very touching and moving book. And just know that it'll be going towards a good cause. As you see, this is a mom. I mean, I feel her pain even now. And, I'm just praying that better and brighter and bigger things will happen, and that as this book is sold, that you will be able to go back and reach the communities, because oftentimes, our youth are villainized and criminalized and just stereotyped to such degree, but it's taking us, we're using our platform to bring exposure and awareness, and also to help impact change in our communities. So thank you guys so much. I thank you, Sherry Hill, and remember to tune in next time.